Hello and welcome back. This is Sherry with Heart and Soulful. I'm back in the studio today working on the 5 Little Peppers journal. So if you're brand new to my channel, welcome. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do, please give me a thumbs up. Say hi in the comments and click on the little bell so that you don't miss out on future videos. I have created a playlist for this one. This is video number 5, and so down in the description you're going to find the playlist along with all the products and different things that I've mentioned in each video. I kind of just continue a running list. I do realize I forgot a couple of the papers from the last video, the mulberry paper and the tea bag paper, so I will add links to those also. So anything else that I have forgotten, please just ask me in the comments and I will try to get it listed there. Okay, so I ended up with this yesterday drawing with some books. So what I have done so far is created the signatures, sewn them into my little floating spine, and then I glued it into the book. So I'll just do a quick flip through here because I did rearrange a few things that I did in the last video, but now you can see them all kind of glued in. And I do want to point out something that now, after I've put this all together, that I will do different next time. So if you're going to make one of these, I want to point this out so that you do yours a little better than I did mine. So you'll see that I did 3 signatures, which is what I did in the previous 2 journals. But they had smaller spines. They were 1-inch spines, and this is 1.5 inches. So I stuck with the 3 signatures. I just added more pages to each one so that it's thicker, and you get this gator mouth thing going. What I would do different, and also when I sew them in, I measure the center and then I split that difference, and it actually looks to me like I'm a little too close this way. So you can either do the 3 signatures still and just move these 2 outside ones further out, so they're just like 1/4 inch or 1/8 of an inch, something less here. But then you end up with a larger gap in between. So I think it would actually be better to do 5 signatures or 4 signatures in this one, and have them evenly spread out, but a little further out to the edge. So that's what I would have done differently. This will work fine. I think it's just, it lays flat to work on, but I think I would like that better. So a little pocket here, a little flip. I've left all my little flips so that I can do little flip out things, and I'll show you one that I did go ahead and add in here. A little tuck there, a little flip. All these can be made into, where I have flips, they can be made into pockets after the fact. I kind of wanted to do this one in a way that if I end up selling it, you would still have the flexibility to really make it your own as far as adding pockets and all that kind of stuff. I've put this little doily here because I think it'll look cute as maybe kind of a flip out thing. I'm not sure what I will end up doing with it, but I just like how it looks there, so I'm leaving it there. And I kind of do that as I'm going along. I will, if I see a pocket or something that I want to put in a certain place, I'll just paper clip it to that so I remember. I added this little doily. I did like how that worked out, leaving that hanging out taller than the page. Little pockets there. I did end up having one of my pages too fragile that was in the center of this one. So now I can't find my center. Where is it? That I ended up here removing that page. It was just too fragile. So I took that out, and then I used my dauber with some vintage photo and just dirtied up that white thread, because if you know me, I don't like anything bright white. So this is our second signature. This was the piece that of the tea bag paper that I added. I'm gonna flip, dirtied that thread up too. Little flip there and here. This is another thing that I added with the tracing paper, tea stain tracing paper, and I had printed that Italian ephemera onto it. So I actually glued that down and made a little envelope. I did this in the last video using just some double stick tape here. That's a little flip. This was that other piece of that I water stained. The pocket there that we made. And this is the center. Again, I dirtied that up. This was another piece of ephemera that I swapped out, that kind of gray one. And okay, that's it. Lots of things to be added still, but I think I'm happy with that. Okay, so the next steps, you could put your closure on. You could wait until you're finished, which is what I'm going to do. You could start, doing some things in here with adding pockets and that sort of thing, which I will do maybe later. But today I want to start my spine cover. So sometimes when I've done journals, I start with the cover and the spine cover, and I do the insides after. So it just depends on, what ideas come to you first, I guess. So I had already pulled out, and now I'm maybe changing my mind, so you're going to see how I think. I had pulled out this piece that I originally started with using the back side, and it's the same fabric that I ended up using here. And originally I had just this, and I picked it out when I was looking for something for the previous journal, and I really liked it. And I liked this, how this edge is scalloped with how, there's curvy lines and things on the cover already. So that is this just appealed to me, and it happened to fit pretty well. And then I grabbed this and thought, I might like this underneath. And then to do some embroidery on top, I could add patches and do more of a slow stitching type thing. If you have not watched my videos before, and this is the first one, what I did on these were lace with then adding some doily and creating flowers, embroidering that. This one, very similar with just embroidering over the lace. And both of these, I did put some rusted fabric behind just to give myself something to hold on to, because if you've never done slow stitching, you don't use a hoop. It's supposed to be kind of very imperfect. If you have never done any slow stitching and want to learn, I can share with you who I learned from. I already knew how to do some embroidery, but I didn't really know about slow stitching. So I followed Roxy Creations. They do these Roxy's Journal of Stitchery things. And it's Rachel and her sister, Sarah. And they do these great series. They've done multiple since I've followed one of their series, which it takes about 6 months, but this was in 2022, so they've had several since then, and it was just a way to learn how to do all this slow stitching stuff. So this was the book that we made in that 6-month period. So I'll put a link down below to her channel, or at least to the link for their Journal of Stitchery stuff, because she does other things too. But anyway, that's a great place to learn how to do this. So that's what I wanted to do here. And I kind of got this far, and then I started looking at it and just digging around today because I thought, okay, I want to start this. And one of the things as I was looking at this was trying to decide if I wanted to do something to this doily as far as the color before I stitched it on here. It's not too white, it's kind of an off-white, but you know me, I like things a little grungy and different. And so I thought, I wonder what it would look like if it was more rusty, tea-stained or something like that. So I went digging in my basket, which is this, where I keep my doily things, and I was looking for some little doilies that I've already taken apart to see if I could find one that was the same color, so I could, instead of, you know, just going for it and rusting or dyeing this, do a little piece to see how it would look. So I had this piece when I was digging around, and it already is a darker color than this. So I thought, I pulled it out, and I thought, I think this is what I used on one of the previous ones, maybe. I don't know. I had pulled it out for something. So I laid it here, and I really do kind of like that color because it's not as white. And there are 5 for the 5 little peppers. So I thought, what if I just use this one and have one down the center? I can trim one row off and just have one row in the front row. And then I end up not covering up my name. So I was toying with that idea, but it's so straight. And I really did like the way this one was scalloped. And I thought I could just not put it so far over so that I still see this scalloped edge. And then that is still kind of in the center and just, you know, not have so much fabric there. So I do kind of like that, but then it's still very white. So before I try to dye this, which I think I'm gonna do, I took another piece that was the same color, and the shocking thing was, I'll show you what I put it in. It, within seconds, I mean, I was shocked. It's like I put it in the solution and it was darker than this. And so, you know, they're all different, maybe what material they're made out of. You know, I'm hoping they're cotton. But I went and just real quickly rinsed this so it wasn't quite so dark and then dried it. But I do like how that looks, especially with this page sticking up. You know, you kind of see the color I like better. So I'm gonna do that to this one, and we'll see what happens. So before you're all freaking out there, it's okay. No guts, no glory. If I ended up hating it, I'd just pick something else. I have that whole basket over there, but I think I'm going to like it. So I'm going to show you what my experimenting, and uh-oh, it's kind of a mess over here. Okay, but I think it's working. Okay, so I started out with, before I just go for it with this, I have a video, and there is a link in this playlist for it about me rusting fabric, because I've done a video a long time ago. And I had already pulled these out because I bought these eyelets, and I really don't like how shiny gold they are. I just really don't like them. So I had already pulled them out because I wanted to rust them. And I'm out of my, you can purchase a rusting solution that's from Modern Masters. It's a rust activator. It's blue. I don't know what the chemical is in it because it doesn't say, but it's something that will immediately rust this in the perfect way. I don't have any here. It's at my other studio. So I thought I need to do the homemade version, which is what video that I have down below is using just ingredients you have around the house, maybe. So to do it, you use hydrogen peroxide. You just pick this up at any pharmacy. And then white vinegar. Today, I didn't have any white vinegar. I had cleaning vinegar. So I looked up online to see what the difference was. And what I could find was that white vinegar is 5%, the acid that it is, and cleaning vinegar is 6%. So if that's true, then this is just a different percentage of the chemical in it. So you would think that would just make it work faster, right? And then the other thing that you need is just regular salt. And then I used just a measuring cup. Now, I didn't measure this, so it's very foamy because it's got way too much peroxide in here, I think. But I literally did this right before I started the video. And it's just been sitting here for a little bit, and I'll try to pull out my little thing so you can kind of see them. But it's the thing it did first, and maybe I'll dump this one out because it got so foamy that you can't even see I can't get them away from the foam. Here, let's see. So you can see this has probably been in here, I don't know, 10 minutes if that. And it's just rusted it already. So I need to go take these and rinse them so you can see what they look like. And then I'll go from there. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I ended up rinsing these just in a little plastic cup. And I'll let them dry because I still want them to, you know, be grungy. But now they're just kind of this aged. Some of them are larger than others, so they're kind of nestled inside each other here. I've got two different sizes. But you can kind of see they have like that age. Some are getting more rusted than others. What happens is as soon as you put them in the chemical, they will immediately take all of this shiny gold off, and they become silver because it's just some base metal that they're made out of. And then that has to then age to this color. So some of them still have a little bit of a silver look to them, but if I let these dry, they're going to be fine. So that's just one way to age things like brand new paper clips and that sort of thing when you want to have them look old for your journal. So the other thing that I do, because I don't want to waste anything, is this is just a container I keep of the rusty liquid, so I can dump this in there. I got rid of all that foamy part, but at least most of it. But this is the color of the liquid, that rusty color. So I am going to try, I think I'll add a little bit more of this to my cup. And that way I have this nice rusty colored solution to dye fabric with. Now I have in that video, I was using this solution to rust out metal and things. I think if I remember, even by rolling them in fabric, and then you get that transfer. So I have a bunch of fabric that is rusted with metal parts and pieces, but you can also just take your cotton fabric and use this kind of solution and just like you would tea stain or anything, and it just gives it a different color. So I do the same thing with ribbon. I don't know if I have any here that is rust, but one of the ways I store, this is not lace. This would be some lace that maybe I've rusted. I'll put that in there just so you can see the color. But this is just some edges from some linen napkins or something that I tore off, and that was done with rust. And then I just wind them onto my spools and put them on my little spool holder. And that way I have just random different ribbons and things that I've made. So you can see it changes really quickly. And then you can rinse that off and then dry it. So let me have a paper towel here. But you can see how quickly just putting it in there gives it that nice aged look. So that's how immediate. So we're going to just go for it. And I think that's how I did this fabric too. I'm going to do just one end so you can see how fast that turns. So I'm just going to put it in there real quick and take it out. And you can see what it did. I mean, that's just immediate. So I'm going to go rinse this off and we'll dry it, and then I'll save this liquid, and I can do, you know, lots of rusted, you know, fabric and lace and all kinds of things. So I'm going to go rinse this and I'll be right back. And that made it quite a bit darker actually than I was even expecting. I could try bleaching it out a little bit, just splattering, but I don't think I want to. I think I'm going to like that. We'll see when it dries. But I think I'm okay with how dark that is because it gave me that contrast again. And then with color, we'll see. I might go rinse this a little bit more and maybe with some baking soda. That's a thing I should mention too, is before you put anything down your drain, I know this is all should be safe things, but I neutralize everything first in a bucket with my rinse water and stuff with baking soda, and then it's safe. So let me go rinse this a little more. Okay, so I rinsed this. I keep a bowl in there. Now you want to use, when you're doing all of this, I probably should be wearing gloves just to be safe. You want to make sure, even though it's household stuff, that you work in ventilation, that kind of thing. And then also neutralize with baking soda. So I do this in my laundry room because I have a sink in there. And so I keep, I use plastic things or glass. And then I keep a bowl there that I, neutralize and rinse with baking soda. So and that's what I've done here, and I think I like the color. And I'm going to just dry this with my heat gun. Okay. So that actually dried a little bit lighter than it was. So I really like that. I think it looks good with my fabric. And I thought it was going to be quite a bit darker than this, but it's not much. I mean, it's a little bit, but it did dry, and it's still kind of damp. You could also tea stain, coffee stain if you're not rusting things. But I like to kind of, do multitask and create multiple things. The other thing that I could have done is say that I already had the rusting solution, or I just made it. I could put it in a spray bottle instead of dipping this. And had I laid this down on some paper and sprayed over it and let that dry, I would have also created an interesting paper underneath where I had used this kind of as a stencil. So you can do, create multiple things. Obviously, I didn't do that this time because I'm doing it kind of all here on camera, but I could have, went and found a spray bottle. So here, and I think what I'll do, like I said, is I like the scallop showing over the side, over the edge. So I think, and it's going to do that on these edges anyway. So I think I want to trim my fabric so that it is not as wide. So let me measure this. Might be easier to see how wide I want it. Oops. I want my fabric to be about 3 3/4 wide. So 3 3/4. So I need to take a little off. Which side do I want to take it off of? I almost think this side, because this is a dark spot right here, and I think if I take it off that edge, this ends up getting kind of covered, which I like. So I'm going to go from this edge. 3 3/4, and I just want to tear it. Snip and tear that because I want that frayed edge. Okay, now I just want to kind of see what it's going to look like. And this particular piece has a front and a back. I don't know if you can see, but that's like a little raised flower. And I like that. Oh yes, that will be very cute. And I still keep my 5 little peppers. I may end up, in order to do that, I may have to have it off center a little bit. Let's see. No, that's pretty good. Okay. Yes. Better. Okay, I'm seeing how that's going to look, and I like that. So I kept my scallop that I liked. I see the green through it. I have my backing, and I can do some embroidery on that. Okay, so next step is I want to attach these 2 pieces to each other so that I can kind of work on them a little bit. So to do that, I think what I will do, I'm going to grab my This is just a wool pressing mat, and it's just a nice surface to be able to work on. Okay, get that nice and laid out where I want it. And you can pin it if you need to, and I think I will on this one. And these are just some little teeny tiny pins, so that I can get started. This might be kind of hard to pin. And if you don't want to do this part because, you know, maybe journaling's your thing and sewing is not your thing, you can also just use some kind of fabric that you like. Maybe you find a vintage piece that's embroidered already and use that. Or, you know, you can even use multiple ones if you want to patchwork it together. And you can always glue them down. You don't have to sew if you don't sew. But I like doing this in these type of journals because I do like to sew. And this allows me to kind of do some of the different things that I like all in one project, and I like that. So one more here maybe. Okay. This will just give me a backing to kind of hold on to and work on. Okay, now I need to put these two together. Now you can use some contrasting thread color if you wanted, and use parts of this doily to outline and kind of couch them on, and then they would show. What I like to do is just to get these two pieces together so that I can get the pins out, is to just do kind of a hidden stitch in the same color as the piece I'm attaching. When I was working on the slow stitching big projects, we would just use like white sewing thread, not even embroidery floss. It could be anything. But I'm going to see if I have something close to this color, because that way if I do have a stitch that shows, it won't show too much. So let me see what I have. I keep my threads in these bins, and I kind of have them by, sorry about the glare, by color. Cool colors, warm colors, neutrals, that kind of thing. So see if I have anything close. That's pretty close. It's too light. This is the first one I grab, I think is pretty good. About this one. This one might be even better. Let's see. I'm just going to use one thread. Well, they're both pretty good. That one's a little peachier, but I think it's better. So my first gut instinct was correct. That's a surprise. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to take this one, and I'm just going to do one thread. And hopefully I'll be able to stay on camera with this, stay in frame on this, I mean. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just start at one corner, and I'm just going to, in this way, I could sort of just couch onto this. It might be easier. Instead of trying to pierce the thread through the doily, it might be kind of hard. So I'm just taking one stitch to kind of tack that on. And then I can have them be far apart. It's really kind of like basting. So I'm going to go way over here and tack that one on. So this is it, the very meditative part of this. So it's kind of like if you were doing a hidden stitch that I've shown on previous slow stitching videos. I don't have like per se slow stitching videos, but I have done some of my things on camera. When I was showing, I do have videos on that book that I showed you when I did Roxy Creation or Roxy's Journal of Stitchery. I'll put a link to that playlist in case you're interested in those. I didn't really do so much tutorial videos. I think maybe a little bit, but it was kind of, I was just learning too. So I was really just kind of sharing with you all what I was working on and showing you and the other ladies that were doing the same, project. It's kind of fun to see each other's thought process and that kind of thing. So that's mostly what those videos are. Kind of final flip through of a page and explaining what I did sort of thing. Okay, so I'm going to do this whole thing. It's going to be done just the same way. But you could see from the back side, there are like really long stitches and then just a tiny stitch, a really long stitch, a tiny stitch. And I did that all the way across just to get these two pieces put together. So in slow stitching, that's called a hidden stitch. So I'm going to continue finishing this, and then I'll get back with you with next steps in the next video. So have a great rest of your day. Now go make something. Bye.